Exactly 1 year ago, on the 30th of August 2022, 1VI Agenda commenced a series of multimedia discussions, and it was stated then, as I state now. Through the 1VI Agenda platform, a strategic plan of action is being developed. It is recognized that education is the only way to know what is offered in the arena of self-determination, which has been mandated by the United Nations since 1962. Ignorance and self-inflicted setbacks due to the lack of confidence in the governance of our people by our people, caused by the combination of citizens and by elected leaders throughout the ages, must be addressed. Deadlines are fast approaching. The Constitution Review Report is due for presentation to the House of Assembly in September 2023, save for any period of extension. The submittal of responses to the Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office, FCDO, on the status of the relationship between the United Kingdom and the overseas territories are due on the 4th of September 2023. This is the main subject for discussion this evening. Negotiations on the development of a new Virgin Islands Constitution order between the Virgin Islands Constitution team and the FCDO will commence either in late 2023 or early and during 2024. The deadline for United Nations mandate or the UK mandate legislation demanding open public registry of beneficial ownership is set for December 2023. The schedule for the implementation of all recommendations cited on the Commission of Inquiry is set for completion by July of 2024. No longer can we pretend that we are not aware of these issues and thereby have others run out our clock. We have deadlines. Some of these deadlines are immediate. Some deadlines are midterm, and some deadlines are long-term. The 1VI Agenda Interactive Chat was created on the sole intent for the sharing or dissemination of information and ideas on subjects critical to the decision-making process in formulating a well-structured agenda for the BVI. The Public Administration and Constitutional Affairs Committee of the United Kingdom Parliament has been tasked with the conduct of an inquiry into the arrangement of the UK's overseas territories and whether the relationship is satisfactory and appropriate in the 21st century. The topics are here. They're important. They're not mine to answer. It is a Virgin Islands thing. I am sure that the government have been examining these questions. They will be putting forward a particular view and comment on it. And tomorrow the view will be, well, who did the government get their views from? There goes the other challenge. I am asking you to call. I'm asking you to let us compile our particular responses. Let us compile our response so that when the government write on these particular questions, like they should, then it would be one in which it will come from the bowels of the people, from the mindset of the people. The questions are straightforward. Are the UK's current constitutional arrangements as regards the overseas territories satisfactory and appropriate in the 21st century? That is it okay with you that we have a constitutional order which basically the executive authority falls outside of our control? an order which can be changed at the whims and fancy or deliberate attempt by Parliament given to the Privy Council or by the Secretary of State given to the Privy Council, handed to Parliament, and given to you. Is that relationship one in which is satisfactory to you in the 21st century? You have to decide. If you don't say anything and two people say yes, well, that is the territory's response. Yes, it is satisfactory to us. And some may well wish that none other than two persons respond, so that become 100% of the persons responding have said yes, the relationship is perfect. The other question, what is the UK government's relationship with the overseas territories? Do we have an adversarial relationship? Do we have a kumbaya? Akuna Matata, everything is perfect. Relationship with all of the overseas territories? If it's not, then what could be done to correct it will be the question. In the same vein, it asked, what is the UK Parliament's relationship with the overseas territories? They're the ones who the particular order in council, the order has to pass through in order for us to get our constitutional order. What we decided by the commission, yes, it goes to the House of Assembly for debate. Yes, it is negotiated up in the UK. But no, you don't get exactly what you want. You get what is negotiated and you get what is agreed by the House of Parliament and by the Privy Council. So is that relationship what you want to continue? Do we have a voice in the UK Parliament? Do we want a voice in the UK Parliament? Do we need a voice in the UK Parliament? These are questions that you'll have to answer. So the other one goes in, how is legislation made in the overseas territories? And what role does the UK government and the UK Parliament have in these processes? Well, we know in the last House of Assembly, there are still about 2 to 3 bits of legislation that were passed in the House of Assembly, but they have not been assented to by the governor yet, to date. But, other territories have made it quite clear that this is not acceptable. But this is the reality of this. So how is legislation made in the overseas territories, and what role does the UK government and the UK Parliament have in these processes? The ultimate decision is with the UK government and with the UK Parliament. It is not with the House of Assembly. The other question, are effective mechanisms in place for the interests of overseas territories to be represented internationally? Our envoy and other entities have been set up, but the Constitution itself gives the limitation of what international forums could be attended, where you could be represented. And in the regional bodies, yes, you're given the authority, and you don't have the authority. You're given leeway to negotiate and to speak with certain entities within the region. But it cannot be at any time contrary to the policies of the United Kingdom. So at the end of the day, yes or no for regional, absolutely not for international, and you have to abide by that. So what mechanisms are in place for the interests of overseas territories to be represented internationally? It's a question that they want to know. Most of the answers are known here, but these are questions that are still being placed out there. are the rights and interests of British overseas citizens effectively protected by the current constitutional arrangements? Again, most of these questions are rhetorical in nature, but they're asked, and they must have been asked for a specific reason, to create a narrative. We must be able to address these, and the actual compilation of responses could go as one, because one caller, when it was being addressed on Emoja the other day, said, well, we should not have individual views being placed out there. We should compile and have a narrative where it was agreed by a number of persons representing other groups as to exactly what the answers to each of these questions would be. So here we are. We are looking for ways in which we can do this. So we're asking you to call 494-2430, 494-6994. And we give an opportunity to do this because come Monday, 5 p.m., that opportunity to let your voices be heard will be gone. So we must be able to have this done. As usual, when the die is cast, then there will be views as to exactly why. Why did anyone decide that this is what should be? So your voices are clearly required. Your voices should be heard. Your voices must be heard so that we can then get this moving.